This is the video review of Transformers Armada Tidal Wave. I believe this is the original US release of it, but because this guy's had so many recolors over the years, I'm not entirely sure. I believe it's the original US release, though. I'm pretty sure about that, but if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. Now, right now he's in his Dark Fleet mode, where he's 3 individual ships. My favorite by far of these is this one, because it looks the most like something that I have seen before. The other two look okay, but I could imagine something like this existing, but I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that ever existing. Now, this is a very nice, I believe the word is carrier. I'm not very up to date on naval terminology, and I think it looks great. It looks exactly like what it's supposed to be. And you can see here, it has the hands, like here, the thumbs and the fingers. I think this is a brilliant way to hide the hands, because it looks like it's part of the boat. And yeah, my biggest complaint about this thing is just it has all this great detail on the top here, especially this nice Decepticon logo, but on the sides here, the detail is just straight up and down, and it's kind of boring on the side, a bit disappointing. Now, the gimmick for this guy is you press up on this, and then you get a little jet minicon. And I don't really like this minicon very much. It's a neat little jet, and I like how it folds up for that compartment. But his transformation is kind of blah. It doesn't look very good. It's overly simplistic. I'm not much of a fan. Now anyway, I'll keep this guy out because he does have, there are several, well, basically there's one minicon gimmick over there, and I'll show you how the minicon works for the rest of it. Now, one thing I really like about this carrier is they cut how modern carriers actually work. Like the old style carriers, like what you would see in, I think, World War I or World War II, is they were basically just highways on the ocean. And the problem with that is that you would have a jet take off, but then when it tried to land, if it didn't lose its speed or didn't catch on the cord, then it would just go off the edge, and sometimes that meant that the boat would ram into the jet, and that was a problem. In modern ones, the landing strip is at an angle so that if the jet doesn't catch, it will fall, but the boat won't run into it, and then it can pull up and try again. And that's actually why when jets land, they slow down for the landing, but then they speed up so that if they fall, they have enough speed to go up again. So I do like how that works. Aside from just this thing going up, there isn't really a minicon gimmick on this. You can plug this onto multiple ports here, but they don't do anything. Now, the next one over here is this one. Like I said, I've never quite seen anything like this before. It's like a pontoon boat, but it just looks weird. It's not bad, but it looks weird. I do like all the details that's on it, like all these guns and the bridge here, and it is a nice looking boat. For the minicon gimmick, you press it onto here, and press it forward and back, and then all the guns spin. And that's about it for this one. It doesn't do much. In fact, none of these do much by themselves, but altogether it is a very fun set. And the last one is, I guess it's a lander. Like, I could see it opening up like this, and then vehicles and stuff pouring out. Sort of like something you might see on Command and Conquer. But for the most part, I like the way it looks. This looks like something that would be a real boat. But it is a bit under-detailed compared to the other ones. Part of it's just because it's such a dark color with no bright colors to break it up. Like, this guy has a bright gray, and that guy has the green. Although we do know on the Japanese release that none of that green exists, so maybe I would feel the same way about this one as I feel about this one, about being a little bit under-detailed, except this one does have all the guns. Now, the main gimmick of this one is you open it up, and then you get little seats for your minicons. And you can have your minicons just sit in them, kinda. Doesn't really work, but it's there. Now, the next thing that we need to do is it's actually really neat. Let me put the minicon away, because I've shown all the minicon functionality. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to combine all these ships together. the way this works is we take the pontoons of this one, split them out to the side, and then we take these jet-like things from the carrier one, and then we plug them in like this, and then we collapse it back like that. Next thing we do is we take this one, split it apart like that, and then there's this clip here that will clip into the back of these two guys. And then there's a little edge right here that will hook under here. And then this will press the top of this down into the edge, making for a decent lock. The problem is that this thing spins so much, and it's kind of a pain to do, but once you get it in, here you have the combined ship mode. And I really like the way this thing is. It's big, it's intimidating, it rolls pretty well, and it just... You wouldn't think that all these ships could come together to form a very cohesive ship, but I do think this works. It makes a great water ship and a great space ship. The gimmicks are basically the same, except you have to wedge your finger in to get that out, and you can't open these, but the Minicon gimmick here for the guns is the same. And there's not much to talk about this mode, except it just looks really cool. And I like the way it looks, I like the way it goes together, I like the Dark Fleet, and I like this mode. It's very neat how it goes together. And then we can finally get to the robot mode. And the way this works is you fold these fins up, you pop these out, and then bring them around like this. Do the same to the other side. And then you'll rotate him around at the waist. Unfortunately, the legs are kind of loose on mine. Oh yeah, speaking of looseness, this is a problem that basically plagues every single version of this mold. How the front of it sort of hangs down. And then what you'll do is you will pop the feet out like this. And then what we'll do is we'll twist the chest piece around, making sure not to misalign the guns there. And then you will split the carrier and spread it around and turn it to the side. Pop the head out, and then you will spin these to the side here like this and pull his fingers down and his thumb out. Do the same to the other side, get this guy kind of standing up. And this guy is very big. And here we have Tidal Wave in robot mode. And the transformation is simple, but I like it. It's very neat, and it's a great way to take the three different ships, put them into a big, awesome-looking ship, and then have it combined without being a parts former. And that's why I really like this guy, because even though he has three separate parts, he still has a cohesive vehicle mode that transforms without parts forming. It's very neat how it all comes together. And part of the reason I like this guy is because he reminds me of a lot of Super Sentai figures, because he has three different Zord bits that combine together into a giant robot mecha. And then he kind of reminds me of the Time Force Megazord. I believe it's Time Force, how all the bits form together into a ship, and then it has the robot mode, except this guy doesn't need to pull apart to go into each mode. And he just looks really good. Now, I believe the Japanese version is supposed to look better because it doesn't have this weird green that breaks it up. I don't mind the green. I think it complements the purple pretty well. It's very Decepticon-y. It looks a little bit creepy. Now, for posability, he actually, especially for an Armada figure, has really good posability because the arms rotate around 360. They go in and out. They bend at the elbow, and then they rotate above the elbow, although the ship bits here will bump in there, so it is a little bit limited. And then you have an articulated thumb, although it can only move on that hinge, and then you have articulated fingers, even though they're all put together. Unfortunately, there's no head articulation, but you do have thighs that go forward and back and in and out. Unfortunately, his knee is sideways like this, so the legs tend not to be really useful, especially because of how loose they are and how much weight they have to hold. But you can occasionally get some poses out of them. He's not a complete brick. I mean, this is the kind of figure, especially from Armada, that I would expect to be a brick, but he's really not, and I really like that about him. He's one of my favorite figures in recent years. And anyway, that's been my video review of Transformers Armada Tidal Wave. I really like the guy, and I really recommend him. So I review Power Rangers, Transformers, Macross figures, lots of stuff like that. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.